Hey there, everybody. This is Carrie Hamblen, the CEO and president of the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce, coming to you again another one of our spotlights for our dear friends at Aprendamos. We've got a series of conversations with all of the providers that are providing some incredible and valuable services to the people of not only this community but our state. And speaking of us providing services to our state, today I have Alejandra Ali Covarrubias-Parra, who is the director of the Alegria Family Counseling. And reason why I say is because Allie's program does cover the entire state. Allie, it is so lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Carrie. It's so good to be here. I'm happy to share more information about our program.
I think it's fantastic. And so, one of the things that you had said before we actually start recording is that like yours is one of the few, if not the only program that still does a lot of telehealth through the state. So I imagine that started during the pandemic.
That is correct.
Mm,
We are the only program right now that is offering services throughout the state of New Mexico. Our clinic-based sessions are held in Las Cruces, New Mexico. However, we are continuing to offer our telehealth services, which has been such a beneficial service and resource for some of our families, especially in our rural communities.
oh yeah.
Been able to connect with our families and still offer this very important resource.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible. It's amazing because there were so many of us that were like, thanks, welcome to the party now that you know what services are needed and how where we have deficiencies. And so I think it's the way to go when we're talking about transportation issues, when we're talking about childcare issues, when we're talking about especially rural communities. And so I'm really glad that you're able to do that and that those folks are able to get it. But when we talk about that, so what does Alegria Family Services do? What is the nature of your program?
So Alegria Family Counseling, within our department, we have 28 clinicians. Each clinician has their own area specialty. Our department does work with all age groups. We provide services for as young as 2-year-olds into adulthood, family counseling, adolescents, individual and couples counseling as well. We do work with various different causes, which may be trauma, behavioral support, grief and loss. We also help with any anxiety, depression, and as well as like any maybe supporting families with working with some of our other departments with any children that maybe have a recent diagnosis that
Mm-hmm.
they may have received, like autism diagnosis or any medical diagnosis that has been recently diagnosed. We're able to support our families. We also just recently started our support groups as well for Circle of Security. Be able to support our families with attachment, and we have a lot more in the works as well of offering
Mm-hmm.
community support groups. We have had a lot of our families have been receptive and been just sharing just wonderful feedback about our groups. So we're happy to be able to expand this not only in the Las Cruces clinic, but being able to expand in some of our other clinics that we do have within Aprendamos.
That's amazing. I mean, that's really kind of your all-encompassing therapy services, counseling services that you've got, especially when we're finding more and more young people are receiving diagnosis that they wouldn't have tracked 20 years ago that they're receiving now, and that's really amazing. With that, I'm kind of wondering because it started during the pandemic. Are you seeing a trend in particular areas of concern for people and families? Because I think there are many folks who received who really whatever they were experiencing was exacerbated by the pandemic for many people. And are you seeing that in the services and the without violating any HIPAA laws, but are you seeing particular trends of things that you're having to focus on?
We are still working really closely with our community partners. That is one of the areas that I feel that we have been able to partner really closely with, like our medication management support, substance abuse, and support. We also had our crisis triage that did close. during or after the pandemic. And that during that pandemic, that was one of our resources that we did really work closely with. And so now being able to highlight like in our area, our mental health area is one of the things that we want to be able to continue to expand and continue to offer. But I do see that there was a lot of lack of opportunities, maybe because of the stigma. That
Hmm.
was one of the biggest one is the stigma for mental health support.
Hmm.
And now being able to bring more awareness as it being more of a space and being like a space of hope
Yeah.
at different capacities as well. More and more families have been more receptive as to the support and the resources and being able to for us to be able to be a part of their system to be able to offer more tools to their toolbox,
Hmm.
and being able to ensure that we're connecting and collaborating with the appropriate resources as well.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of therapy, and I am certainly aware of the stigma of that, but I can tell you it was some of the hardest work that I've ever done and some of the most gratifying work I've ever done. So I'm really grateful for that. And so you had mentioned like tools in the toolbox, and I think those are counselor therapist terms, which is probably you were like, oh, she's had therapy, which I'm proud of it because it was something that was helping me break really unhealthy patterns in my life as an adult child of an alcoholic, codependency, all that. And so when we talk about tools in our toolbox, because I think what I was getting at with that question is like anxiety and depression, substance abuse, all things that kind of got exacerbated during the pandemic, and we're still seeing that. A lot of those of you who are mental health providers and providing any social services are still kind of really addressing some of those issues that came out during the pandemic. And so with that, as we finish up, Ali, you talk about adding to the toolbox, and when you're working with families and individuals, I'm wondering if there are some like some tools you can share with people, to kind of make them feel a little bit more comfortable about pursuing therapy. But tools that can help people navigate kind of the everyday stressors of life that might be triggering.
Absolutely, Carrie. And honestly, we will be here for so many. I wish I could be able to share so many different resources and areas of specialty from some of our clinicians. I had shared we have the clinicians that have a background in working with dialectal behavioral therapy, EMDR therapy,
Mhm.
which is working with more complex
The lights.
yes. Um,
Yeah.
also offer for myself, I'm one of the CAMS locator, which is a suicide prevention and treatment framework.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is as to the client's needs. We are going to work with the client and our families as to their needs, and knowing that that's okay. We're going to start where we're at, and we're here to support everyone in throughout their journey and their goals, and giving that sense of hope for each individual that does. We do welcome them into their space, whether it be telehealth, whether it be in person. We want to make it as comforting and open as possible to be able to have the client really reflect and be able to have that opportunity to see like what is it that I'm needing and where can I communicate and us support that
Mm-hmm.
as well for us to be able to ensure that we're supporting the client appropriately because it may not be our resource and that's okay. And that's like one of the things that we like to highlight as well. It's okay if our resource is not what we're needing right now, but allow us to connect you with that resource and have that opportunity and learn more about those resources that are available. So there are very many different toolboxes as or tools to our toolboxes. We're just one little piece. We do like to let our clients know and our families know that they're the expert in their life and we are only
Mm-hmm.
here to be able to support and you gave that little like extend that helping hand, that warm hand off into the resources that they may be needing, whether it be grounding techniques, meditation, finding maybe their hobbies, connecting to their hobbies, support groups that may be available, or working with our community partners as well, with medication management or maybe a higher level of care. Or also, the beauty within the family of services is that we have 6 different programs. Being able to connect, maybe we're working with a mom that is expecting, being able to connect them with Cariño home visiting
Mhm.
program, or a dad or grandparents that are raising their grandchildren, being able to connect them with some of our internal services as well. So there really is, as to the family's needs, we're working with the family to ensure that we're able to help them reach their individual goals and their individual needs.
Well, I think of like a spy movie where like a secret compartment opens behind and they've got all of their little gadgets. That's kind of what you all have, is you've got all these different tools that people can kind of pick from, and that what seem to work. And when somebody comes in for your services, all you ask is that they bring the empty toolbox, or that it's got a couple of little wrenches and pliers and stuff, but that it's got room in there for tools. And the EMDR, you and I can talk a long period of time on that, because it's incredibly helpful for trauma. And there are other opportunities. And so I guess as we really finish up this time, how would you approach if somebody said, I'm kind of thinking about going into therapy, but I just don't know. I just don't. So how do you help ease somebody's apprehensions about therapy so that we can continue to break down the stigma? Because this is an incredible service that will help make people's lives a little bit easier.
Yes, I always encourage families and clients to ask questions, as many questions as they may like to explore. If there is a hesitation, what does that hesitation look like? Is it maybe I'm afraid a lot of the times there is like stigma is like the what is my family going to say, or what are others going to say? Others are going to think I'm crazy. And that's like one of the things that we like to be able to highlight is with families, is letting them know that there is a stigma as to mental health. However, we're providing the space and neutral space for them, and being able to offer the opportunity for them to ask questions as to what maybe their interests are.
Hmm.
And there's so many different approaches and modalities that we are able to incorporate within psychotherapy. And that is one of the things that I do like to encourage them to ask, or just to explore their interests. Is it art therapy? Is there play therapy, sand
Hmm.
play? There's so many different opportunities for us to be able to tap into that may be meeting their needs, even with equine therapy.
Hmm.
Something
Oh,
that
I
they
know.
enjoy.
Yeah.
That's something that we want to be able to connect them with. So I do always let families know if they're asking about services within Alegria or counseling in general. I like to explore that a little bit further, as far as some of their interests or some of the areas of hesitation that they're maybe having or experiencing. That way we can support them in knowing that it's okay, that it may not be our program, or it may be a different resource, or it's okay for us to ask questions or to say no. Because we also want to be able to reinforce those healthy boundaries
Hmm.
and healthy connections as well. So we're always here, and I'm always available for any questions or support, or being able to make that initial uh, connection with the resource and providing and offering that information.
Yeah, there's no shame in making sure you're solid.
Yes.
Really, there really isn't. And I hope folks do that. I am so grateful, Alejandra, that your program, the Alegria Family Counseling Services, that it's in existence, and that you've got folks who are using it. If you are interested in the Alegria Family Counseling Services, that they serve families throughout the state via telehealth, but also provide services locally in Doña Ana County. If you'd like more information, you can call their office at 575-652-3448. And if you'd like more information on the services and program that Aprendamos provides, you'll see the website and that phone number I just talked about, either above or below, all depending on the platform that you're watching us on right now. Ali, it is such a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm so grateful that your services are available, because there is no shame in making yourself solid, and that you've got those services available. So I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you, Carrie.
Absolutely. If you'd like to do a member Zoom chat with me, go ahead and private message me here on this platform. I'll be more than happy to get back with you because that is a service that is offered to our members for the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce. Until then, Ali, I hope you have a great week, and I'm really grateful to be able to talk to you and promote your services. And thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you, Carrie.